Hello everybody, how are you? Welcome to my channel English with Shabnam ma'am. In this video, we are going to discuss the UGC NET English December 2024 PYQs with the answer concept who introduced and the year and with the short explanation so that you can clear everything. So let's start. But before that, I would like you everybody to support my channel with just like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for your support and thank you so much for watching. So let's start. The first question we you can see here, who coined the term defamiliarization in literary theory? Defamiliarization is a term coined by, there is a option, so there is a little bit mistake. You can see in the options everything is mentioned as A instead of A, B, C and D. So my bad, it happens just by. So the answer you can see, Victor Slosky. Victor Slosky is the person who coined this term defamiliarization. In which year? You can see the year was introduced in 1917, and in which work this this concept was introduced. So you can see art as technique. Art as technique is the work in the concept was introduced. Question number two. Question number two, who introduced the term hegemony in cultural studies? You know how much important this single topic is, cultural studies, and how many questions we get. So hegemony is the concept introduced by Antonio Gramsci, and in which year this term was introduced? So the year 1929 to 1935. In which work? The work is prison notebooks. Yes, the prison notebooks, this concept was introduced by Antonio Gramsci in the year 1929 to 1935. I will put the link in my Telegram channel so you can get the PDF. Okay, next question. Next question, who first used the term intertextuality? Who first used the term intertextuality in literary theory? In literary theory, so here is the options. Options 1, Julia Kristeva. Option B, Roland Barthes. C, Jacques Derrida. And D, Michael Foucault. And answer you can see, Julia Kristeva introduced the term intertextuality in the year 1966. And in which work she introduced, in which work the concept was introduced? So the work was the word, dialogue and novel. Yes, the work is word, dialogue and novel. And in which year? The year is 1966. By repeating each concept 2-3 times, it helps you to memorize the concept, year and writer very well. So do that. I will suggest you to do that. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question we have, who introduced the concept of the intentional fallacy? Intentional fallacy is the concept in literary criticism. Intentional fallacy is a concept in literary criticism. And who introduced? You can see the answer I have marked with blue. So W.K. Wimsett and Monroe Beardsley. This concept was introduced in the year 1946, and the work was The Intentional Fallacy. It is an essay. In this work, this concept was given by Wimsett and Beardsley in 1946. This is how you can memorize by repeating the year, answer, and the concept. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next question we have, what is the term used by Edward Said to describe Western representations of the East? Yes, what is the term used by Edward Said to describe Western representations of the East? So options you can see. Now let's move on to the correct answer. So the correct answer is Orientalism. Orientalism is introduced in 1978. 1978. 1978. Which work this term was introduced? So the work is also Orientalism. Next question. Let's move on to the next question. Which concept did Roland Barthes? Which concept did Roland Barthes introduced in his essay The Death of the Author? the death of the author. Now the concept is not given, but they are asking that the which concept is introduced in the said work, the given work, the death of the author. So the concept is the text as an independent entity. Yes, you heard it right. The text as an independent entity is the concept given in the death of the author, the by whom this concept was given, Roland Barthes, and in the year 1967. Yes, 1967 this concept was given in the work The Death of the Author. You know now that Roland Barthes claimed that the meaning of a text is created by the reader, not the author. Okay, let's see the question number 7. Question number 7. Who introduced the concept of the uncanny in psychoanalysis? Who introduced the concept of the uncanny in psychoanalysis? Who introduced the concept uncanny in psychoanalysis? So the option you have seen already. Let's see the answer. Sigmund Freud. Yes, Sigmund Freud is the one who introduced or gave the concept uncanny in psychoanalysis, and in which year? The year is 1919. Yes, 1919 this concept was given, and the work called the uncanny. The work called the uncanny. You know how Sigmund Freud is important for psychoanalysis. Next question. Next question we have, who introduced the term simulacra in postmodern theory? Simulacra is a concept given in postmodern theory, but you have to tell the writer that who introduced. So option you have seen already. Option Jean Baudrillard. Yes, Jean Baudrillard is the writer who gave this concept. And in which year this concept was given? The year was 1981. The year was 1981, and the work is also known as Simulacra and Simulation. Simulacra and Simulation is the work. This concept was given in 1981 by the Jean Baudrillard. Next question. Next question we have, which feminist critic introduced the concept of gynocriticism? You know, gynocriticism is the concept given by Alan Sholter. Alan Sholter in the year 1979. In the feminist theory, this concept is very important. So Alan Sholter gave this term, and in which year? 1979. And the work was a literature of their own. The work is a literature of their own. This concept was given by Ellen Sholter in 1979. Next question. Who developed the concept of the gaze in feminist film theory? Now you have to tell that the gaze concept is given by whom. So the concept, there is an option you can see. There is an option. So this concept was given by Laura Mulvey. The concept is given by Laura Mulvey in the year 1975 in the work Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. Narrative Cinema. Next question. Next question. Who introduced the concept of rhizome in post-structuralist thought? The concept rhizome in post-structuralist thought, who gave that? Means you can see there are lot of concept that has been asked by the examiners, who gave that? Means who, by whom all the concept was introduced in the English literature. So you just have to memorize the concept, year, work, and the writer. The four things you have to memorize: the concept, the work, in which year the concept was introduced, and the writer. This is how you can memorize. So your option you can see here: Gilles Deleuze and Felix Guattari. Felix Guattari gave the concept rhizome in the year 1980. In the year 1980, the work is known 1,000 Platos. The work is 1,000 Platos. So this concept is given by in this work. Okay, next question. Who introduced the term logocentrism in deconstruction? Deconstruction, as it is also a famous work known by its concept, known for its concept. So who introduced this term? Logocentrism. This term is introduced by Jacques Derrida. This term is introduced by Jacques Derrida in the year 1967, and in which work of grammatology. In which work this concept was given? Of grammatology. This concept is given by Jacques Derrida in the year 1967 of grammatology. The work is of grammatology. Okay, next question. Next question we have, who introduced the idea of cultural capital? Who introduced the idea cultural capital in sociology and literary studies? Who introduced the idea of cultural capital in sociology and literary studies? So option you have seen. Let's see the answer. The answer is Pierre Bourdieu. Pierre Bourdieu was the person who introduced this term in which year? 1979. In which year? 1979. In which year this concept was given? 1979. 1979, and the work is a social critic. A work is a social critic of the judgment of taste. This in this work this concept was given. Work this concept was given by Mikhail Bakhtin. Okay, next question. Who introduced the concept of binary oppositions in structuralism? Who introduced the concept of binary oppositions in structuralism? So this concept, the options you can see, I'm not telling you the options. It creates the little bit confusion if you tell the option. So I have highlighted the answers only. You can get through. You just have to memorize the answer with the concept. You have to relate the concept, the answer, year, and the person who gave this term concept. So answer you can see, Claude Levi Strauss gave this term binary oppositions in the year 1958, and in which work? Structural anthropology. Yes, in the work structural anthropology, binary oppositions term concept was given in the year 1958 by Strauss, by Claude Levi Strauss. Okay, next question. Who coined the term metafication? Metafication is the very important term. It appears many times already in many other exams. So who coined the term metafication? Metafication is the term coined by Metafication is the term coined by William Gass. This term was coined by William Gass in which year? 1970. Work is called Fiction and the Figures of Life. Yes, in the Fiction and the Figures of Life, in this work, this term metafication was given. Explanation you can see, Gass defined metafication as a self-aware literature that acknowledges its fictionality seen in works like Barthes, Borges, and Calvino. So this is the concept given by William Gass in the year 1970. The work is Fiction and the Figures of Life. Next question. Which literary term refers to a next which literary term refers to a text that changes its meaning based on the reader's interpretation? Interpretation, that means when we try to analyze something. So you can see which literary terms. Which literary terms is, let's see, reader response theory. The name suggests itself that the reader's interpretation. So option is the reader response theory in the year 1970, and the work is developed by Stanley Fish, Wolfgang Iser, and others. There are many. So these are the concept given by Stanley Fish. This theory argues that meaning is not fixed but created by the reader's engagement with the text. It happens so many times that when you see a word, you create not just one but and many other meanings. And next question, who introduced the term the unreliable narrator in modern narrative theory? Who introduced the term the unreliable narrator in modern narrative theory? So this term the unreliable narrator in modern narrative theory is introduced by Wayne C. Booth. Yes, this term is introduced by Wayne C. Booth in the year 1961. In the year 1961, and in which work? The Rhetoric of Fiction. Yes, the Rhetoric of Fiction, this concept was given. Okay, next question. Who introduced? Next question. Who introduced the concept of hybridity in post-colonial studies? Who introduced the concept of hybridity in post-colonial studies? So options you have. Okay, let's see the answer. Options Edward said Homi Bhabha, Franz Fanon, and Chinua Achebe. So you can see the options. The correct answer is Homi Bhabha. Homi Bhabha introduced this concept hybridity in post-colonial studies in the year 1994. In the year 1994, by the work the location of culture. Yes, the concept hybridity in post-colonial studies is given by Homi Bhabha in the year 1994 in the work the location of culture. What was the significance of this concept or the reason? Bhabha X described that cultural mixing in colonial and post-colonial societies where colonial subjects adopt and adapt elements from both cultures. Next question, who introduced the concept of dialogism in literary theory? Dialogism, you can see who introduced the concept of dialogism in literary theory. So this term, this concept, dialogism in literary theory is introduced by Mikhail Bakhtin. Mikhail Bakhtin have already given so many concepts and not only gave but examiners favorite many exams his concept is appeared and frequently his concept asked in every exam. So please study about Mikhail Bakhtin, at least the concept given by him you should study. So in 1930s this concept was introduced by Mikhail Bakhtin and the work is problem of Dostoevsky's poetics. The problem of Dostoevsky's poetics. What dialogism do? Dialogism suggests that all text engage in a dialogue with other text, rejecting a single authoritative meaning. Okay, next. Who introduced the concept of simultaneity of history? Yes, this concept was introduced by, you can see the options. Now let's see the correct answer. Frederick Jameson. Frederick Jameson is the person who introduced this concept in the year 1991. 1991, and the work is postmodernism or the cultural logic of late capitalism. Yes, the year 1991, the work postmodernism or the cultural logic of late capitalism, this concept was introduced by Frederick Jameson. Next question, who introduced the pastiche in postmodern literature? Who introduced the term pastiche in postmodern literature? You can see the option here. So let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is Frederick Jameson. Yes, the correct answer is Frederick Jameson in the year 1991. Postmodernism, the cultural logic of late capitalism. That means the earlier question number 22, we see work, the same work, this concept was also introduced by Frederick Jameson. So you can memorize simultaneity history, and the another concept pastiche. in postmodern literature, these two concept is introduced by the same person Frederick Jameson, the same year 1991, and the same work postmodernism or the cultural logic of late capitalism. Yes. So let's see the next question. Next question we have, who introduced the concept of hyperreality in postmodern philosophy? Who introduced the concept of hyperreality in postmodern philosophy? This concept you have, there are options you have seen. Let's see the answer. The answer is, the correct answer we have Jean Baudrillard. This term hyperreality introduced in the year 1981 in the work Simulacra and Simulation. This is the work we have seen already another concept in the previous slide. So you have to memorize. You can let me tell you that there are many writers or there are many concepts we can see frequently introduced in the same work by the same writer. So we have to memorize like that.